Shout out to all of you adventurers, tourists, travelers, and general vagabonds joining us today at Point Noir, home of the Point Noir podcast. I'm your host, as always, Jerry the Third, aka Kimono Jack, and this is session 13, Baker's Dozen, or lucky number 13 as I like to look at it. So glad you're here with us. We have another awesome show lined up for you, but before we get into introducing today's special guest, I wanted to remind everybody to share your favorite episode and tell somebody that doesn't have a passport that we're sponsoring passports. We'll have a lot more news on our current winners. We've been giving them out and refining our process, so we definitely want you guys to take part and help us out by letting interested parties know what we're up to, because we're out here to try to do a lot of good. So with that all being said, hope you guys have enjoyed your day so far. It's about to get a whole lot better with today's special guest coming right up. Joining us today at The Point is the luxury travel don himself, Mr. Travis Levius, aka Mr. Levius on Instagram. Make sure you check out his account, follow him to see his upcoming luxurious adventures, and check out some of his previous ones. There's a lot of cool stuff back there. Travis was awesome enough to stop by The Point and share with us some of his transition between being an assistant teacher in Atlanta only a few years ago to being a highly sought after luxury travel content creator. He has found a way to mix his passions of travel and creating art through photography and videography, editing and writing skills to really make this amazing lifestyle and career where he can not only travel the world, but get paid to do so. One of the most interesting things about this session is that we break down some of the mindset shifts and some of his perspective on how he was able to make this transition, and I think it's practical advice that anybody can start using immediately. So grab your favorite beverage, find a cozy place to chill out, and enjoy today's session.
Hello?
Travis, hey, what's going on, bro?
Nothing. Well, I was going to say nothing much, but a lot. How are you, man?
I'm great, man. I'm just going to start it off as we usually do by welcoming you to Point Noir. So great you're here with us, bro. How you feeling?
Yeah, feeling all right. A lot going on, but can't complain. It's all good stuff.
Yeah, that's that positivity we like to promote and share. Where are you at right now?
Right now, I am in London, which got really cold
already.
August, and just a month ago we had a huge heat wave. And
Yeah,
I'm missing that.
Oh well, maybe it'll warm. That's weird though. Isn't August to get that chilly in London?
It does at night. At night, it's probably like in the low 50s sometimes. So even though it might be in the high 70s during the day, at night you will need a jacket, unfortunately.
Right, especially with no cloud cover and stuff. Well, that just attributes to the classical depressing nature of the weather out there too. So
It's true.
that's tradition. If the Brits represent one thing, it is tradition. Well, listen, dude, I'm glad you can make it in. And for those of you listening in, we've actually spoken before, but we had some technical difficulties. So I'm actually not even looking at my notes from last time because we're just going to do this as a whole new interview. So again, glad you can make the time. I know you just came back off a trip to your most recent trip was Israel.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So maybe we'll even get up that far, but why don't we start by telling the people a little bit about your backstory, how you got into travel, how you became Mr. Levius. If y'all don't know already, this is the Mr. Levius. So please tell us.
All right, cool. So I'm Travis, aka Mr. Levius.
Yeah. That name goes hard, bro. Like, I hope you have a shirt, like a jacket, like Chappelle has his thing that says Chappelle on it. You need one that says Mr. Levius. So when you show up, people know.
Okay, I need to put that on my ideas list. Thank you.
I got you.
But I am a former assistant teacher turned globetrotting journalist, consultant, and content creator. I became that way by kind of taking a huge leap of faith by quitting my job in Atlanta and just following my gut, which was to move to my dream city of London. And after a few months of being very poor and not understanding what I was here for, things worked out and started my writing career, and it took off, and now I'm kind of pretty much living out my wildest dreams as a travel journalist.
Wow, dude, that is so awesome. And not just any travel journalist. If I remember correctly, you specialize in luxury travel.
Oh, yes. So I get to do the things that millionaires get to do that I know I can't do on my own.
Where there's a will, there's a way, though. That's super dope. So growing up, are you from the Atlanta area originally?
No, not at all. I was a military brat. I'm originally from Brooklyn.
Okay.
If anybody's from Brooklyn, stand up.
Yeah, BK, what up?
But my stepfather was in the Navy, so I moved around a lot. DC, Arkansas, back to the DC area, and Virginia Beach. And then I went to Atlanta for college. And since college, has kind of been my adult hometown ever since.
Okay, that makes sense. And it happens to a lot of us that way too. So growing up, you had traveled domestically a bit, seen some other large, especially, I mean, DC to Atlanta. I mean, those are some pretty significant East Coast staples. Did you get to travel internationally much when you were growing up with your family?
No, I didn't travel internationally at all. My first foray into traveling abroad was actually studying abroad
Okay.
for the summer, going into my senior year. That was my first international trip.
Okay. And where'd you head to again?
It was a 2-week program in Galway, Ireland.
And
So
where?
Galway.
Okay. Okay. Is that like one of the more, I haven't been to Ireland. Is that one of the more popular spots where like they have the Blarney Stones and stuff or no?
I'm not sure, but it's in Southern Ireland.
Okay. Then we'll go with no.
But it's a very beautiful seaside town. It's not like a major city, but
Okay.
you know, it's a pretty important town next to all the mountains and the beautiful water.
Nice.
And yeah, pretty much enjoyed myself. And then 3 weeks in London. And when I came to London, this was 10 years ago, aging myself now. I just realized that this was home, and I loved it ever since I came over here.
Wow. So having your first travel experience is saying, okay, this is a place I need to find some way to live. What was it about the experience that inspired that in you?
Well, even then and now, I'm a really big like music head,
Mm-hmm.
and just being in London, I just feel like they got me musically. Like the music tastes were just incredible, and like the things that are underground in the States are pretty much like prime time or listed on the charts in London.
Wow.
So just that part alone was just like this is where I need to be. But on top of that, it's so much easier to get around the rest of the world being in London as opposed to being in the States.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of money being in London. It's very world class. It's very diverse. The diversity that I appreciate in New York, I get here in London, if not more so. The architecture,
Yeah.
the and the fact that you can't get bored. There's always something to do here. So even me walking, going out and about a few days ago into different neighborhoods that I enjoy, and seeing new places and new hidden alleyways I'd never have come across before. It just always excites me. So London is number one to me forever.
Wow. Okay. And that's awesome that you found a way to make that your current reality. And I'm kind of inspired to go back to London. So I barely got in the first time
Oh,
due to some legal situations, due to my alleged stays in France. And we were doing kind of like the touristy thing, and I definitely hit Brixton and stuff, but I wasn't so really inspired to go back. But the way you speak about it, I'm just like, wow, there's probably a whole different, I mean, several different sides of London I haven't seen. So we'll have to talk about that because I definitely respect your point of view. I need to give it a second chance.
yeah, you do. So much to see here. In London, there's a part of London for every type of person.
Okay.
If you're into the classic part, you can do that. If you're more into like edgy hipster part, there's a place for you there too. So absolutely, it's a place that's everything to everyone, really.
Okay. Wow. Well, I'll definitely keep that in mind. So let's talk about the transition you made from being a school teacher. Did you go to school to be a school teacher, or it was just fallbacks on top of fallbacks?
No, I never went to school there, but funny enough, when I applied so first of all, I got the job at the school. It's a private school for children with learning disabilities,
Mm-hmm.
like dyslexia and ADD.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually just got the job as an after school counselor.
Okay.
Um, and I look back at my resume of what I did during college, and it's funny enough, like pretty much all my extracurriculars were education related.
Oh, wow.
So, and I was at one point an educational studies major. So, maybe in the future I thought I'd be teaching or doing, being an administrator or whatnot. So
Right.
eventually, someone at the school told me that they're looking for assistant teachers, and I was like, "Well, don't you have to have a degree?" And they were like, "No, you don't." I'm like, "What?" So I applied and got it, and I first was doing middle school for the first year, hated it, and middle schoolers, I wanted to, they did too much, but high schoolers, that was the second year, and I enjoyed that a lot.
Okay.
I was speaking to young adults on the brink of following their passion and trying to figure out what they want to do in life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how me being an assistant teacher happened.
Wow. And then you just decided to get up one day and throw it all away. Is that how it happened?
Well, what happened was I visited London for summer, and every time I came to London before, I would always like wail and moan when I come back to the States, like, "Oh, I really want to be in London so bad. I want to be in London so bad." But
Right.
one time when I came before I moved here, I said to myself, "You know what? As much as I want to move here, when the time comes, it'll come. I'm not going to stress about it and force it. It's just going to happen when it happens, and being patient to do so." And then my gut, my instinct, my intuition, whatever you want to call it, it's like 2 months later, it was like time to make the move, time to go to London, and it wouldn't go away. No matter what I would do, it was just the same message, like time to move to London, time to move to London by next summer. So really, the jump was me kind of just obeying my intuition and being willing to risk stepping into the unknown. So it took a lot of courage.
Yeah, dude, 100%. That's a lot of courage.
Yeah.
Let's break that down, though. Were there some things that happened, or what? Were you just you had that much faith in your intuition and the love for the city that you were willing to trust yourself? A lot of people have intuition, but they don't have the courage.
Yes, and people then try to figure out why they're so miserable.
I'm not laughing lightly, but yeah, it's the truth. When you've made a jump like that, you see it so clearly, bro.
And it's just the fact that, like, basically, I've kind of understand that intuition is going to tell you to go a way that you, one, never thought of, and two, it's going to make you uncomfortable. And so for me, I know I weighed out the option of, okay, do I do I not take the jump and just stay safe and miserable, or do I know that life is precious? The worst thing that can happen if I make the jump is that I'll go back to where I started, and that is just worth me taking the jump because it actually might work out, and I actually live out the things I wanted to do in my life. So I just decided it was worth taking the jump.
100%, dude. That's a beautiful way of looking at it. Stay and be miserable, or give yourself a chance to experience a slice of what you want.
That's it, man. But it did take months for myself to come to grips with that, because yes, absolutely it was scary. And of course, even taking the jump itself and putting in my 2 weeks notice and buying my one-way ticket, it was absolutely terrifying. But one thing I've learned through that situation and after that was just basically, you can't cure fear. You just have to do it afraid.
Right. It's like those quotes where they ask people who accomplish something, if they feel fear, and they're like, yeah, but I just do it.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow, dude, that's super powerful. And I appreciate you being able to talk to that experience with so much clarity, because there are a lot of people considering it. And the fact that it took you months, bro, that's your process. Some people, it's taken them decades. Some people never get it done. So
True.
Shout out to you. And let's talk about what happened after London. So you hit London, and what has making that decision, committing to yourself in that way, opened up in terms of your life after that point?
So I came with $300 to my name.
Which is how much in pounds, just so people who haven't experienced that conversion rate don't get shell shocked.
Like, pounds actually not as bad as it used to be. So maybe about 180, 200 pounds.
Okay. Yeah.
Not a lot.
200. Not especially in London is not cheap. Hey.
No, not at all. So, sleeping on couches, one time sleeping on the floor from friends that I've known.
Mm-hmm.
But that same hunch that told me to move to London told me that I need to start writing.
Yeah.
So my background is actually in photography that I was still doing as a teacher and I was doing years before I became a teacher, assistant teacher. And I got the hook up for an editor looking for photography related content for a photography. It was like a innovative photography camera software sort of thingy. So they were looking for content writers. So that was my first that was my first taste of being paid for my writing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh wow, I'm getting out of poverty now. Hallelujah. But, that led into me getting more serious on my blog, which I've had since 2010. It started off as inspiration, then it got into travel and inspiration.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm in London. I love London. Why don't I just write more things about London on the blog? So that gave me a bit of a portfolio of my writing about the
Mm-hmm.
food. Then I saw there was an opening for an unpaid position as a London editor for a major website called the Daily Meal, which is a food and drink website based in New York. That gave me, now I have like bylines with my name on it, in a place that has millions of viewers. That feels good. And then months later, I'm realizing, well, okay, well, my dream is to travel the world. Now that I understand how all this works with the editorial process and working with PRs, I'm like, why don't I start writing on the travel section? And that's when everything just took off for me. Was able to go to South Africa and see the most beautiful places, stay in the most beautiful hotels, and snorkel with dolphins and beach resorts in Mozambique. And got to accompany a star chef called Aaron Sanchez that's on the Food Network, and follow him to Argentina to do a story on him for the website. And it's taken me now to Sri Lanka and the Easter Island and the Maldives and all these other places. And I just think all of that. I don't know. I just attribute the entire journey just from me taking that jump in the first place and not being scared, because it all worked out.
100%. And you put in the work in, bro, because you being able to rediscover some skills in terms of your writing. I mean, having a blog for 8 years, almost 10 years is a big deal. Most blogs don't make it 8 months. And I can tell you that from experience. Like my blog, I think it goes on and off the internet like every other year.
No,
but I mean, yeah, like the consistency is tough, but you found it, you put that grind in, you took an unpaid position. And just let the people know in South Africa, when you were out there, like tell them about the Blue Train a little bit, because I don't think they quite realize the level that you travel at. We've had discussions where you were like, dude, you might not want to do what I have done because you cannot go back. Tell them about the Blue Train a little bit.
Well, funny enough, I did 2 trains in South Africa, and definitely the top 2 most luxurious ones would be the Blue Train and another one called the Rovos Rail.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say the Rovos Rail is even more luxurious than the Blue Train.
Oh my goodness! Tell me about it, because I'm taking notes. I need to get my dreams bigger. Why would somebody in 2018 get on a train to travel across South Africa? What's that experience like? What's involved?
What's involved? Well, with a luxury train like this, I find trains meditative.
Yeah.
Especially if your train is going through spectacular scenery, it's not something you want to rush. So going from Johannesburg to Cape Town is a 2-hour flight, but on the luxury trains, it's between 24 to 36 hours.
Okay.
So you get the chance to really savor the landscape, see how it changes from, bushland to, towering mountains and semi-desert, and then being on the caboose in the open air observation deck, and then just just being out in the elements as the wind, brushes against your face as you're seeing all the scenery. I think it's just a beautiful experience. But with these trains, they're both very classic. So it's almost like you are in another era, like you're in the
Right.
1920s. And even for dinner, for both of them, they require you to wear a suit or a dress, which just kind of just brings that glamorous, glamorous effect to the experience. So, and of course, instead of just being in a seat with a passenger you don't know, you have your own suite.
Inside the train.
Inside the train, you have your own bed, you have your own bathroom, you have your own fridge, you have your own TV. So it's definitely luxurious. This is not Amtrak.
Right, this is not the Acela.
Right.
Yo, bro, I mean, just from you describing it, you said, I'm going to paraphrase, but what I heard was one needs to take one's time when traveling on a train. You made it sound like a fine cigar, bro. Like, I've never even thought of trains that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially going through scenery. It's just slow travel is sometimes a beautiful way to travel, I think.
Wow, and doing it in comfort and style. Okay, I wanted to understand for myself, so that was low-key selfish. I'm not sorry about it. I just wanted to hear so I can, save up my coins and have these experiences. Can I gamble on the train? That's important. Can I gamble?
There's no casino, unfortunately.
Okay, but I think I can deal with the rest. I needed to know.
Yeah, but
that's all.
I have to give a shout out to the best train experience I've ever had, which is not in South Africa. It's actually in Canada.
Okay.
I would check out Rocky Mountaineer.
Rocky Mountaineer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And funny enough, they don't. They do day trips, but you overnight in hotels along the way.
Okay.
So the train is passenger, like you have your seat or whatever, but just experience the service and the sights going through the Rocky Mountains and looking at the forest and, passing by goats and sometimes grizzly bears is just astounding. So that's not too far from Dallas. So I would totally check out Rocky Mountaineer too.
Well, thank you for just, for just handing that to me. It's in Dallas. Now I've got no excuse. Damn. But I mean, that mix between kind of that luxury, that comfort, and being able to see and appreciate nature and still go somewhere, like that's really cool, bro.
Yeah.
That's super dope. All right. I hope you guys are inspired by that because, like I said, I'm being selfish right now. I want to know about these damn trains. Because they're not the same everywhere, and we don't have the same sort of train culture in the States. Our trains suck.
Yeah.
And if you work for the rail lines, like you already know it, so I don't need to apologize. Our train system sucks. It's completely different as soon as you go over to Europe and get on their high-speed trains or go to Japan. Like our stuff is boo-boo.
Exactly.
Yeah, so don't let that shade your experience and be like, oh, why would I get on a train? Like Mr. Levius says, get on a train. You get on a damn train, bro.
That's right. No.
You heard it. Sweet. So let's talk about what's been your favorite experience? And actually, let's talk about this because I know you're not always in London. You kind of hang out in South Africa a bit too, right?
I hang out in South Africa. I always spend a few months out of the year back in Atlanta, which is my American home base.
Mm-hmm.
But in a perfect situation, which is what I'm trying to work on now, I will split most of my time between London and Johannesburg the most. I will still go to Atlanta because, there's things I can do there, speaking gigs, and of course, seeing friends and family and having the base to see the rest of the States and in the Western, and, the Americas. But London is my favorite city in the whole wide world, but Johannesburg is my second favorite.
Yeah.
And I just would want to be at a point where I can live comfortably and going, back and forth, but chasing the warm seasons so I can enter at all times.
Right. 100%. And that's important. Like when you start traveling this way, you're like, oh, wait a second. I don't have to be here for this snow. Like, okay, I'm out.
Exactly.
So overall, growing up from the States and, taking that leap of faith, what experience has maybe changed your perspective about yourself? Like what has empowered your identity the most? And I don't want to say as a Black man because you took a vastly different route. I feel like people who take those one-way tickets the way I did or the way you did or some of the other guests, like we're looking for more than just, hey, how do I feel good about being a Black man? There's just kind of almost feels like a higher calling on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe that's just me, but.
Yeah. It's changed. How it changed me? Um, I think traveling definitely has made me more. I don't know. The more I travel, the more I know that I don't know anything.
Mm.
Like there's just so much depth and complexity and different ways of living, of thinking, of being, and it's just beauty. It's a beautiful experience. But I think I was raised in a fashion where your family interprets your life for you, and you have to see it as truth, or society interprets life for you and you see it as truth. But I think the more I travel, the more I realize that, like, everywhere I go is everyone just trying to interpret life the best way that they can,
Yeah.
and seeing it that way just made me more open minded.
Yeah, 1,000%. Even from being able to take the jump, but I've seen very similar things, and especially I went back to working in corporate and just recently stopped. But everyone's just trying to figure this shit out on their own, no matter what level, no matter how much success or lack thereof. People are just really carving their own paths, and some of them look really similar, so we kind of group them together. But you look down at each story, and they're vastly different.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's what's up. Oh, wow. I'm getting a little philosophical here. I like this. This is dope. So what's been your favorite experience so far? And just for the record, when you're out here as a luxury travel journalist and photographer, these trips are paid for, right?
Yes. So people might think that the publications cover the expenses. That's not the case. So, case in point, I just came back from a trip to Israel, which was fantastic. Tel Aviv is
Mm.
now one of my top five favorite cities. Um, I was invited by Israel's Ministry of Tourism. It was me and other journalists writing for
Mm-hmm.
titles, and in exchange for us getting a commission, which is for us getting approval by an editor to write a story on Israel or a facet of Israel, they will then in turn host us by covering the flights and giving us a tour of the city and staying in hotels and restaurants and covering, of course, entrance fees for different heritage sites or whatnot. And that's how that happens. So it's whatever I'm experiencing, that's who covers the expenses, and then I get paid by the editor paying me for my story after my experience.
So it's kind of like a two-part system. There's the people who are kind of hosting you, which take care of, those expenses, but then also for the additional value you add for the publication, you get paid as a professional.
Exactly. Hmm.
Okay, that's super dope. So maybe what are some of the biggest, are there some other misconceptions about what it's like to be a travel influencer and specifically a luxury travel influencer? Like where do people get it twisted all the time?
Hmm. Well, the funny thing is that I mean, guess I guess you can call me a travel influencer or content creator, but I don't get my trips from. I basically don't get paid for that. I don't get trips from that. I get my trips from being a travel journalist,
Okay.
and then so basically I write for titles like CNN and UK newspaper The Telegraph and Forbes Travel Guide and Business Insider. So that's how I'm able to travel the world the way I do for work. But what I want to do eventually is, and what I've been doing now, of course, is when I do go on those travels, I take all the experience that I have, take the pictures, recollect them, and then use that for content for my social media.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
can't consider myself a professional travel influencer if that's something, because I don't get these perks from my own social media channels. It's just what I have on there is just a byproduct of what I do as a journalist.
Okay. 100%. So that's a good distinction to make.
Hmm.
So maybe you can talk about the amount of work that you do when you're on these luxury trips. Like we're talking, is it a cush gig? Is it demanding when you're out here for a week or, however long you might be out on a trip? Like how much are you actively working to get a good job done?
Mm. Well, there's two different types of trips. There's a group press trip and an individual press trip.
Hmm.
Group press trips tend to be a lot more demanding because as an individual press trip, usually set things up on your own, and you can schedule at your own time the things you want to do and write about. But with group press trips, you're gonna have to wake up in the morning, most likely. Sometimes very early in the morning, maybe 8 or 7 sometimes, maybe even earlier. And you're just shown around different parts of the city or country or hotel or cruise or train during the day. And you take notes when you get there. Of course, take your pictures, ask questions to maybe chefs that you met and you're eating at the restaurant, or speaking with the general manager of a hotel or museum curator or whatnot, and write that down to get the story. So yes, even though being able to travel the world for a living can be fun, usually when you're on a press trip, it is quite exhausting, especially if you wanted to have some free time after dinner to kind of explore on your own. You can't really do too much because you have to wake up early the next day. So It can be a big ruling, but I can't complain at all. I mean, you get to do all this stuff, get paid for it, right? So it's still a blessing.
Yeah, 100%. And I like that you see it in that positive way. So are you ever able to extend your trips out a little bit longer, or those tickets are kind of fixed? Let's say that you were hosted at a city for 5 days, and then you said, push my return flight another 2 days, and then you cover your own costs. Are you able to have that sort of flexibility?
Yes, that I have that flexibility 95% of the time.
Okay.
Even with Israel, because I knew for sure that I was going to love Tel Aviv, and I wasn't wrong. I told them before they booked the flights that I would like to extend postpone my flight date out of Israel back to London a little later. And so, yeah, I spent an extra week or a week and a half in Tel Aviv so I can do.
Oh, wow.
And even do the stories that I wanted to do that I couldn't do on a group press trip. So there were other hotels that I wanted to review, other restaurants and bars that I wanted to perhaps write about for different publications. And me staying there longer enabled me to do so.
Right. So you maximize the opportunity to get content. And I'm dying to know, what was it about Tel Aviv that made you think you'd like it? And then what confirmed that for you?
I kept hearing that Tel Aviv was such an outlier in the Middle East, where people think Middle East is very conservative and religious. And, I guess for the most part it is. Tel Aviv is complete. And I've heard that Tel Aviv is completely secular, very liberal. Beaches are great. Food is great. Really hot people. It just seemed like a place for a young person, a young cosmopolitan chap like myself.
Yeah.
When I came, my expectations were completely met and then some. I feel like it's a small city as far as it just having 500,000 people, but I feel like it has enough to do and has the energy of one with like 5 or 7 million people.
Wow.
And it's so walkable. So safe that I didn't see any sort of strife or was never in danger. You can walk around even as a woman at night and no one's going to bother you. The food scene there is incredible. They like partying until 6 in the morning or later, like how I sometimes do in London. So that was great. And that was an amazing time. I actually want to see if I can get back there and do some more stories, and do some more survey some more new hotels and new restaurants that open up this year because I like it that much.
Yeah, 100%. I'm sure those establishments would appreciate, somebody with your level of experience loving the city that much and just wanting to engage because you dig it. Like, that's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely. So I can't wait I just posted my first Israel-based trip in Jerusalem, but I'm really looking forward to posting the stuff on Tel Aviv, which probably will come out in the next 1 or 2 weeks.
Okay.
That out.
Yeah, and you do a really good job posting stories between the videography and the photos you take. Definitely make sure you guys check them out on Instagram. Again, everything will be in the show notes. But shout out to you getting your poll feature finally.
That's how you do it.
Yo, like people don't know, like not everybody gets the same features on Instagram. And for those who are really trying to build their brand or their accounts, Like, not everybody has polls, not everybody has questions, not everybody even has GIFs, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Questions either until I got the polls like last week.
Yeah, and we've been had those, and I was like, "Dag!" But his shit is actually popping. But you do a really awesome. I mean, you look at the top of the thing, and it just looks like it just looks like dots, like just a series of dots going across the screen because he's got all these stories. But he does a great job of. I mean, I'm talking to you, so I can just say you do a great job of, guiding people, narrating through a journey, and showing all these different aspects. From I remember Johannesburg had a lot about history, so there were like some, a good 6 that were just kind of sad and about the apartheid, and you talked about going out. Like, you have a really great way of displaying the narrative through Instagram. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, man.
I do. I'd be watching. I'd be lying low, but I'd be seeing everybody's shit. It helps with the show, but it gives me perspective because I'm looking at this train right now and I'm just like, okay, how do I get up to Canada to get on this damn train? In Tel Aviv, you say there are hot people there, even if the music's whack, I'm down, bring my own Bluetooth speaker. That's what's up. So what piece of advice would you give to somebody who, man, I don't want to say it's kind of at the point that we were at where it's like, hey, do I just throw this life away and take that jump? Maybe somebody who just has a desire to travel, but between all the influences of them growing up, they just haven't made that move yet. What sort of advice would you give somebody who'd like to have these sort of experiences?
I would say first and foremost, write it down. Write it down because it's scientifically proven that those that have things in mind but make it a goal tend to achieve them more than those that don't.
Yes.
So that's how I got to where I am, is because I wrote down my dream. I wrote down that in the perfect world, I will live in London and travel the world. And I think what that does when you put that from mind to paper, and you are open to the possibilities, I think you start to get more sensitive to the opportunities that might come.
Dude, 1,000%. And we got a little bit of time, so let's get into that though. When it comes to goal setting, I'm fascinated with how people who've had success in any way have gotten there. And writing was one of the ways that I made my trip to Paris. So you wrote that down, but did you write it down just one time and look at it every day, or did you write it down once a week? How did that particular intention work for you, play out for you?
I wrote it. I remember writing it down once, and then I would talk about it. Like whenever it was on my mind, I would start talking about it, and I would start talking about like maybe strategies for me to achieve it, or opportunities I thought could be a way for me to jump on it. So I just kind of had a dialogue via journal of just about the journey of how I'm going to get there, or just the status of how it is now, but where my dreams lie. So yeah, definitely a lot of frequent mentions in my journal about my dreams, but it helped a lot.
Right. So in your conversations with yourself, this was, hot topic all the time. And dude, you are so on point with what you said, is you'll become more sensitive to ways of making it work when you're just thinking about something. You start seeing opportunities differently, or start seeing things that were disadvantages, quote unquote, as things that you could, leverage. Were you out here posting on Facebook or Instagram saying, I'm about to head out to London, y'all can't stop me? Like, were you very public about this sort of stuff, or was it very much a internal dialogue?
Definitely internal, but it's so funny because at one point when I was doing a trip to London, I think it was my second to last trip before I made the big move, the summer of 2014, I just felt compelled, and I don't know what moved me to do it, but maybe my I guess my gut or my heart would do something that I didn't. And I remember posting this status saying 2014 Travis Levius travel writer.
Wow.
And I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't even know what a travel writer really did. But for whatever reason, while I was in London, while I was in the place that I knew I was meant to be, I just felt compelled to write those words. And I put that as a Facebook status that I still have saved. So it's just crazy how full circle that was, that I guess in some way I did kind of put it out there. I guess did kind of put that energy out there, even if I didn't understand what it was at the time. But it
right. Wow, dude, thanks for being able to break down, pull back the veil on some of that, because I think there's some mechanics to being successful, whether you're dealing with travel or business or life. And we're going to talk about your business right next, because I know you're going to be successful just because of the way you're talking about this. Like, I'm so excited for you. But I think there's some mechanics that just work consistently. When you look at top performers, top achievers, you hear a lot of the same stuff, and you're right on brand with that. So why don't you talk to us about, one, thank you so much for sharing that and how somebody could get started. Did you have another point to how to get started traveling besides writing it down?
Community is everything. I think most people feel impeded by circumstances with traveling, whether it be money, kids, what have you. And I think sometimes you get so engulfed in your own problems that you don't realize that other people with the exact same set of problems have still been able to make it work. And those are the people that you need to reach out to so that they can teach you how to make it work for you as well. So there's family travel bloggers that you can talk to of how to make it work on a budget when you have a 3-year-old daughter, or there's someone you can talk to about like backpacking in Europe, but only a $20 or €20 a day budget. So I think going on Facebook or reaching out to people that you know and just getting information, I think will help embolden you and show you that there's a way. And I think that's the major one, is that like if you want to travel and you're not in a third world country where your salary is like $50 a month, you most likely can make a way to travel.
Right. 100%, man. Like, I just want to sit back and I'm listening to you preach. I'm just like, yeah, he's so on point. These are things I've seen time and time again from my own circle. And even as an entrepreneur, bro, like I imagine going over to London and being involved in that field, you were around other writers, other journalists, other editors, and that just kind of fostered that confidence and those resources for you to have the success that you're currently having, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, if you were off by yourself, it would be a different sort of challenge.
You've got it right. It's really about the people that you're surrounded by. Of course, like give when you can and help someone else up after you've succeeded in your own travel pursuits. I do want to add another strategy that I use.
Please.
Quick and fascinating story. So 2013, I did something interesting. I went to the airport. I was actually heading from Atlanta to Chicago because I didn't think I could afford anything else at the time as far as travels go. And instead of going to the domestic terminal to sit in the gate where I was supposed to board, I went straight to international concourse. And I took my bags with me and I sat down in the boarding gate. I think the plane was going to go to Tokyo. And I just remember I was just sitting there and just imagining myself being able to board all these international flights one day. So just sitting there and just feeling like, okay, they're gonna call my name, or call my zone, my boarding zone, so I can go to Rio de Janeiro, or go to Tokyo, or go to Paris, and just sat there and just felt good about my ultimate goal of traveling the world. And funny enough, I don't know how it happened. I don't know how money changed or opportunities came, but when I thought I could only afford one trip just to Chicago that summer.
Yeah.
A month and a half later, I had enough money and wherewithal to go to London, to Paris, to Brussels, to Vancouver, to Seattle, and some other places. And
wow.
A month and a half. But that was after I kind of set that in motion of just feeling good about my goal. So I don't think it's a scientifically proven sort of step. Like you visualize and things will happen, but I just know that when I visualize things, it tends to make things come true. So I say just being positive and trying to immerse yourself in what you want to be, then there might be a chance you might actually match that to your reality.
Right. Thinking of either the person you want to become or yourself and those emotions in that experience you want to have, dude. You're on point. When's your birthday?
January.
What month?
I'm a Capricorn.
Okay. I don't fool with astrology, but I was like,
Oh.
man, he feels like kinfolk. I thought you might have been in Pisces because I thought only crazy people like Pisces thought things like this. But
That's Pisces is my favorite. That's my favorite sign actually. I get along so well with Pisces. All my closest friends are Pisces, basically.
see, ain't this easy, bro? And listen, the next time you go out to Tel Aviv, when I take this show on the road, this is about to all be a business expense because we're gonna do a follow-up interview. In fact, I might not even release this shit just so I have an excuse. No, we're definitely gonna get this out, man, because you've dropped such amazing stuff. And when you're talking about giving and sharing, like, dude, this is it. So for anybody listening, like, you this is what it's about. He's given such good, gems about how to make this work and from an authentic standpoint, man. So I appreciate it. So now we flip the script and I want to hear about what you got going on. Where's the next trip? We know the stories are coming up about Israel and South Africa, but what other adventures do you have going on? What kind of fancy trains are you getting on next?
No trains, but maybe a yacht cruise.
Hey, where are we going? Where's the yacht cruise?
So as of this recording, I have two trips I've been invited to, and they still need to be confirmed. And I hope to God they're both confirmed because this will make my September so lit. But I've been invited to tour Vietnam.
Wow.
On Vietnam Airlines. So Vietnam Airlines is sponsoring the trip. And I got commissioned by one of my editors, a Business Insider, to cover their flight because they're the only airline that goes nonstop from the UK straight to Vietnam. They had Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh.
Okay.
And I might be able to do business class.
Hey.
So cross my fingers for that and do Ha Long Bay and Noir in a beautiful mountain village that people don't know about in the West that kind of just opened up to the West. So that should be exciting. And then I literally will fly back from Vietnam to London, stay for London for like a day, and then get flown to Indonesia to do a luxury yacht cruise around the Komodo Islands.
Wow.
I can't wait. If it happens, I can't wait.
Bro, like that's the dream right there. Like that, and the experiences are so unique, dude.
Yeah. Like people don't know like how many invites I get all the time to like different countries. And it's so weird for me because I'm like, before I became a traveler, I would think, I would take everything I can get. But once you've been at this for quite a bit and tasted like the best of the best, you kind of turn down places, So I'm like, oh, France, no, that's not exotic enough. Or, oh, you going to Abu Dhabi? Nah, Vietnam sounds better. I'll go maybe next year. So it's just kind of crazy to kind of be in this position where like the world is literally handed to me, and I can actually have a choice,
right?
Or petition to like go like to apply for a place for me to like write a story about. So I'm actually trying to do that for Antarctica, whether this year or next year, which I think we talked about in the last recording.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just crazy to kind of have that power to just be like, I think I want to go to Antarctica. And I can like pitch an editor, and if the cruise accepts it, I can then go to Antarctica.
Dude, that's so lit. And I mean, you've expanded your travel palette. Paris isn't popping as much, or Paris ain't going nowhere. So why do something that has been done for hundreds of years, written about? Why not be the first one to bring out that first piece, that that first photo that opens people's eyes to Vietnam or this part of Indonesia, like the Komodo Islands? That's lit.
Yeah, man. So it's exciting. So those are the two that I have set up, and then eventually, hoping by late October, early November, I'll be back in South Africa and try to stay there for at least 2 months, and hopefully be there for Afropunk for New Year's Eve in Johannesburg.
What? Afropunk is New Year's Eve in Joburg?
Yeah, they had their first one last New Year's Eve, and I heard it was popping. I was so jealous of my friends that went.
Oh shit, because it's popping off in BK right now. I've been to the one in Paris, but we haven't talked about this, but my next two places to move are either Kuala Lumpur or Johannesburg. But New Year's, it could be on and popping, dude.
Yes.
What? And that's just me casually saying stuff offhand because that kind of works for me too. But like, shit, yeah. You know how black is going to be up in that piece?
Exactly. And it's so funny because Joburg is already like a edgy city,
my
like edgy
God.
like city. So it's going to be so lit. I can't wait. I know it's going to be better than the first year.
Oh my, I'm getting chills, bro. Okay, focus, Jay. Focus. Yo, it's gonna be so like, bro, so dense. That's gonna be crazy.
Yes, get your tickets if you can.
Bruh. Okay. Got it. So you put us on game. We got we got luxury cruises, airline discovery in Vietnam and the Komodo Islands, and Afropunk in for New Year's in Jayberg. So let's talk about some of the business ventures, because to me, you are the travelpreneur. That's going to be the title of this episode because I named it 2 months ago. But you're not only just out here doing the luxury thing, the travel, the journalism, the photography, but you have good business sense. You're an entrepreneur. So tell us about those ventures and things you have going on there.
Sure. For what I have on offer right now is I have a coaching program for those that want to break into the travel industry, because there might be people like me that they know they're a good writer. Of course, they love seeing the world. They would like to combine their passions and make a living from it. But they may have already graduated college and don't have a journalism degree. And they're like, well, how do I break in? And so using my experiences after being in the game for, I guess now it's 3 years, as a journalist. But it's been a pretty upwardly mobile 3 years, I must say, for the balance that I've achieved. And so I think I have enough, wisdom to share with people that want to break in. And I definitely want to target travel bloggers, because travel bloggers, for the most part, are also good writers, and they might want to break into the freelance world as well and get paid to write as they would on their blog too. So that's one. And then the other thing I just started this year is a marketing agency, a video-driven marketing agency for the luxury travel industry. So I always keep it real and say that travel writing, the perks are great, but the pay sucks. It's very hard to make a living from it as a freelancer unless you're like just an incredibly fast writing machine. And I am not. I am not that. It takes me quite a while. So I wanted to do something in a way that I can still be involved with the industry, but make a better living from it, and also be a bit more hands-on with the brands that are out there. So I would love to start working with luxury hotels and resorts, making sure that branding is tight, making sure they're getting video marketing, because that's the best way to connect with consumers today for them to book. Getting their copywriting together, but on top of that, just hiring and nurturing the talent under me for them to have, the jobs and, perhaps travel the world too, as they probably have dreamed of as a filmmaker or a consultant or whatnot. So that's what I've started this year. And it's been quite a journey so far as an entrepreneur, but just going to keep going at it and see what happens.
100%. And does this new venture have a name yet?
Right now it's just called Levius and Co.
Substantial, young man. That's great. Levius and Co. Hell yeah, it's got a name. Damn, man. Yeah, Levius and Co. That's what's up, y'all. And that's dope, man. Not only being able to kind of, reach down the ladder below you and extend a hand with, all the wisdom and knowledge and the connections you've absorbed as a consultant, but to do the same thing for, probably up and coming luxury, attractions after seeing it modeled all over the world. Like, you got a lot of experience, and yeah, it's been upwardly mobile, dude. You're at some of the top points of the game. You know what I'm saying?
No, thank you. I try, man. I try.
Hey, and that's all that's required of us, isn't it? Just like fucking try, y'all. Like, if listen to this episode, but at the end of the day, just like, please, God, fucking try.
I kill you to try. Trust me, I'm guilty of that myself, of overthinking. But it's just like, put it out there. You're not going to die if you made a mistake and people didn't like it as much as you would have liked them to. Just keep going until you perfect it. So I'm preaching to myself right now, by the way.
Dude, hey, listen, we're preaching to each other, man. All coaching is self-coaching. I firmly believe that.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, let's end it on that note, dude. I really appreciate you having the time. I know we got some time zone difference, and you probably have a shindig to get to, even though it's Monday. Your life is popping. I get it. I understand. But thank you so much for all you shared, and I hope people are getting a lot out of this.
Yeah, thank you again for having me, man. You definitely do a great thing with the Pinot Noir podcast, and I hope it just blows up like nobody's business.
Oh man, this we out here trying to make moves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, important to see more Black male travel voices.
Yeah, dude, and dude, the quality, yourself included, like no doubt, just the quality of guests we've been able to attract just in these first few episodes, bro. Like this is Tribe, so we're gonna talk more about that. But dude, these brothers got stories.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I have to like sit down and listen to like all of them because I'm sure they have so many gems. And I saw that Will Edmond was one of your interviewees, right?
Yeah, man, we were just hanging out last week in Dallas.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, my boy Prince Eric knows of him. I love his videos. He's dope. I need to connect with him actually.
Yeah, man, his stuff on YouTube is popping and is growing. And he's such a cool. He's nice in ways that I just am not. Like he's a country boy, you know, but super cultured, and he just smiles at people and they smile back, and I'm like, yeah, I'm too East Coast for that shit.
That's hilarious. That is a thing with us, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, bro. We got a little bit of grit, but yeah, man, check it out. Let me know what you think. We'll be in touch, and thanks again for stopping by, bro. Let's wrap soon and safe travels, huh?
All right, thank you, man. Take it easy.
All right, man. You too.
All right.
Peace. It never hurts to stop and imagine the finer things in life. And after listening to that session, which I've listened to like 4 times by now, listen, bro, I want my boarding pass put in 24 karat gold. Like, that's just where we at right now. Challenge your dreams, make them bigger. And thank you so much, Travis, for stopping by. Y'all, make sure to follow him on Instagram at Mr. Levius. Sounds official as hell. Y'all can't forget it, and it's in the show notes. So keep yourself inspired. Keep pushing your dreams. Keep hitting that edge, and keep your mindset right. On the other side of business, let's talk about these passports. Simple 4-step process. Here we go. From the top. 1, be a man of color that does not have a passport. Number 2, follow Jerry the3rd on Twitter. Number 3, at Jerry the3rd and say what having a passport would mean to you. And number 4, just make sure you include the hashtag #Passpoint18. That's it. Simple 4-step process. It'll take you longer to brush your teeth than to do that. So if you have a passport, share it with a brother of yours. If you don't, definitely consider. Hit me up on Twitter. I'm out here. Love talking to people all day long. Hope you guys have enjoyed this, the Baker's Dozen episode. I wish I could name it that, but we had Travis on the show. It's got a different name. But this has been the Baker's Dozen episode. Thank you for hanging out with us here at The Point. This is Jerry the3rd, a.k.a. Kimono Jack, signing off.